I am honored to welcome all participants
to the first virtual conference on educational apps, add-ons, and other digital tools.
Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure for me to join you.
I'm very excited to participate.
Glad to be here.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for being part of the conferences.
And I'm going to show you step by step how to work with this.
So I ask myself 5 big questions every time I'm going to select some material for my class.
With this, for example, you already know that the students are applying vocabulary, we are applying grammar.
The system automatically will check everything over 10.
Thank you very much, Daniela.
We are here to help.
So I hope you like it.
We want to thank you for being part of these academic conferences 2020.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining this live stream. In this opportunity, we have teacher and teacher counselor Daniela Mendoza. Dani, how are you today?
Hi, fine. I'm very nervous, as always.
Well, don't be, because everything has gone well today. Everything's going fine, and this is going to be all right too. Well, let me tell you some things about Daniela. Daniela has been working as an English teacher at the CVA for 12 years. Since the beginning, she has applied techniques and activities to promote students' autonomy and motivation. Besides, she has been working on ways to apply experiential learning for more than 6 years. She has participated in workshops as a presenter since 2018, and she is currently working at the CVA as a teacher counselor. Today, we are going to see practice what you preach. Well, that's today's topic. There are many times when we, as teachers, just focus on covering the content of the book. There are some other times when we work really hard on planning our activities and students don't show much interest. These different situations may cause frustration and produce an uncomfortable environment, even in virtual classes. The objective of this workshop is to give practical tips for using modeling plus naming and have some space to share ideas. Dear Daniela, the audience is yours. One more time, I thank you for being here. And whenever you need me, just call my name.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Jose. Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone. I hope you had a delicious lunch. Now we are going to get ready with the presentation. Let me share my screen. Okay, there it is. Okay. Well, as you already know, the title of my presentation is Practice What You Preach. I know that for some people this may sound a little bit like, what? Practicing what we preach, but we always do that. Or what do you really mean by this, right? And now you will get to know that. First of all, let me tell you about our agenda. We have very simple points. First, we are going to have a very interesting question. I hope you like it. Then we are going to get stressed out. That's part of my presentation. I'm really sorry, but yes, it is part of it. And then we're going to start talking about modeling. We're going to start planning. Then we're going to talk about agreement and what we mean by that. We will keep planning after that. And well, then we're going to talk about some steps to follow. Finally, I'm going to show you an example of what this main presentation will be about, and we'll have a conclusion. Well, let's start. Now, here comes the very interesting question. Question for all of you teachers. Well, I know here in the audience we have a lot of teachers. Most of them are my colleagues. So I would like to know, why did you become a teacher? And Also, I would like all the audience, remember that we have teachers that are not from the CBA, or we have future teachers probably here. So I would like to know the same, right? Why did you decide to become a teacher, like future teachers? I'm going to leave you 1 minute here in order to think about your answer and type it in the comment area. And well, in a minute, Jose will let us know, or we would like to hear. To do this, you have 1 minute. Okay, time's up. So, Jose, do we have any answers from the audience? Do we have any responses?
Well, yes, we have some. Teacher Wendy said to be useful. Teacher Mayra said, I believe that teaching is the best way to help others. So she became a teacher in order to help.
Nice.
Cynthia, because she didn't have a job at the moment, but eventually she found her calling. Something similar happened to me. Sarah said it was my dream since a child.
Nice.
Fabiola, to share what I know with others. Teacher Claudia says, just destiny. Teacher Fernando, because I like sharing what I learned. And Teacher Marisela, because I wanted to share my knowledge.
Oh, very nice, very nice. I think we have shared some ideas there, right? We have similar thoughts, and I think that's very nice. Well, I read the saying the other day, and it really caught my attention because as in learning you will teach, and in teaching you will learn. So it doesn't really matter what your reason was, right, to become a teacher. We may have had different reasons, because we didn't have a job at the moment, because something came up, because we were inspired by someone probably, and somebody said, right, it was my dream since I was a child. Excellent, right? All reasons are valid, right? The thing is that now we are teachers. But something important that we have to remember is that we are constantly learning. I don't think at this point anyone will say, I already know everything. I don't know, if you teach mathematics, you're not going to say, I know everything. Or if you teach English in our case, right? Yes, now I know everything. There is nothing else I'm going to learn. I think that's really difficult to say. I don't think we could say that, right? We keep learning. And something important is that we are not only learning a subject, but we are also learning from people, right? We are learning different kinds of skills now, especially now that we have this new reality, let's say, that we don't have the face-to-face classes, we have virtual classes. We have learned a lot since last year, right? So you see, we are constantly in this process. Well, now, keep talking about this topic. I took this screenshot actually from a presentation. This year, I had the opportunity to attend TESOL, the TESOL convention, and it was a virtual convention this time. And there was this presentation that was exactly like my title, right? Practice what you preach. And in this presentation, the presenter talked about how we say, oh, yes, you have to be very flexible, or the opposite, right? No, you have to be very strict with your students. And probably we are not exactly like that in our classrooms, even in the virtual classes, right? Or we'll say, oh, yes, well, I don't know. For example, you have to work on grammar, right? I am looking for some advice. And it's, oh, yes, you can use this app, this worksheets and these books and this and this. And I have like 20, 30, or 40 kinds of resources, right? And I have a lot and say, okay, but are we really going to use those 40 resources, those 40 books or apps or web pages? Probably not, right? And that is something that is happening nowadays. And of course, the objective here is not to judge anyone. We are all part of this. I am part of this. Sometimes I don't practice what I preach, and we are working on that. That is also part of learning, right? Well, now, the main point that comes to my mind whenever we have this problem, right, is that we are really stressed out. Since 2020, since March, in our case, in our country, everything changed, right? And a lot of things changed. We had the face-to-face classes in which we could see our students. I don't know, you could enter your classroom and you could see your students that were tired. Let's say that you're exhausted, okay? And you could immediately come up with an activity to cheer them up. Let's do this, or we can do this. Or probably you had planned one activity and at the end you had to change it in order to fit the class, right? However, now that is kind of difficult, especially because some students cannot turn on their cameras, or they just turn on their cameras for a little while, or probably they never turn on their cameras and you don't really see them, and we feel really stressed out. Besides, I don't know if this happened to you, teachers. It has happened to me, and I noticed that now it's like I have less time than we used to have in the past. I really don't know how in the past, in 2019, I had enough time, like in 10 minutes, to go change my books, open my locker, leave my stuff, change things, change material, and have some coffee. I really don't know how I used to do that, right? And all those things are getting into our heads. And sometimes it's so much that we think that we cannot really handle this. And we are so stressed that okay, let's see, book, page 20, exercise A, finish, okay, now exercise B, okay, finish, now exercise C, because we are really stressed out, right? And I understand that because that is the human part. We are feeling all this energy in the environment. We're feeling all this energy, not only in the house, not only in our city, right? It's something global. And it is affecting us a lot. But now I would like to hear from you. What is stressing you out? So please, Jose, could you please let me know if we have any responses?
Well, not yet.
Mm-hmm.
Not yet, but I assume that this whole situation stresses everybody out. To know that you can get sick if you leave your house, your home, and that a virus can get you really sick or can even kill you or the ones that you love. That's the first thing that stresses us out. And as you said, the more work that we have. For example, teacher Marcela says something that stresses me out is the computer screen. Well, there are so many things related to this, and we totally understand Marcela. Teacher Teresita, when students remain silent.
Exactly. Yes, totally.
Marcia says, well, the screen sometimes. Teacher Fabiola says there's virtually no separation between our work and our personal space. Totally right. Yes. Teacher Pedro, get careful, evaluations ready. Yes.
Yes.
Working on evaluations. Yes. Teacher Rodrigo, the internet connection. Teacher
Okay.
Carla says, one moment, the whole situation is stressing. Teacher Rosario, the diseases from typing too much are stressing me out. Either the situation we are facing, Lourdes, in virtual classes, students who don't participate. Teacher Luis says, internet troubles. Teacher Cynthia, students do not turn their cameras on. Teacher Claudia says, time goes too fast on online classes. What stresses me is not having enough time to do everything I'd like to. Teacher Delia, evaluation. Teacher Rocio, technology, computer work, student silence. Teacher Claudia, students who believe that don't take classes seriously. Teacher Leslie, internet connection. Teacher Javier, my dog barking while I'm working. Teacher Fernando, when students do not participate. Teacher Mayra, not being able to interact with students as we used to. As you can see, there are many things that stresses us out.
Exactly, yes. And you see, I'm very sure that when somebody posted something, you're, yes, the same thing, right? I totally agree with this person. And well, I had only 3 examples here. You gave me a lot more. Thank you so much. I had assignments to check, lack of participation and connection problems, right? Of course, you mentioned a lot more teachers, but don't worry. Take a minute, take a deep breath. Okay, right? We know the problems are bad. Let's look for some solutions, right? Let's see. Now, one solution that I found, and it was actually in this presentation that I was telling you about before, is modeling. The thing is that sometimes when we talk about modeling, we usually say, okay, I'm going to model how to do this exercise. And that's all, right? But let's see the exact definition of modeling. Modeling is an instructional strategy. Okay, we already know that, in which the teacher demonstrates a new concept or approach to learning, and students learn by observing. That is excellent. But again, we are still focusing on content, right? We are still focusing on this task. However, whenever we talk about modeling, we could be talking about modeling something else. Because I know you're stressed, teachers. I know we are all stressed out with this situation. And our students are facing the same, right? And that is something that we have to keep in mind. Now, whenever we talk about modeling, we will be talking about these activities, how to work on these activities, but we'll also be talking about modeling some attitude, right? For example, and this is just an example. Let's imagine I always tell my students to turn on their cameras, but my camera is off right now. And one day my student doesn't turn, my camera is off all the time, let's imagine. And I talk to my students and tell them to turn on their cameras. Maybe they won't be happy to do it. Maybe they are going to complain, right? It's like when you're at home and you talk to your kid, right? For example, let's say you tell your child you have to eat a lot of fruit, but you never eat fruit. So your kid is going to be like, why are you telling me to eat fruit if you don't eat fruit? If I never see you eating fruit? Right? Now, I want you to remember that your students are like your kids. Imagine you have adopted a lot of kids, right? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 5 courses, 5 different courses. You have, I don't know, around 50 students or more. Those are your adopted kids. So that is going to be also your modeling, right? If I turn on my camera, they are going to turn on their camera little by little. Everything is going to be a process, right? If I start my class with a positive attitude, I know sometimes students don't have that attitude, but we're going to work on that little by little, right? I know that that could be frustrating for us when we say, okay, guys, let's work on this. We're going to do this. I have planned this. And my students are, okay, next, what's next, right? And they are not really interested in the activities that I have planned. I know that could be frustrating, but that's why we have to go little by little. And whenever we talk about modeling, we're going to talk about planning. Now, I'm not talking about your lesson plan, just in case. I'm talking about planning this as a whole, not only these specific activities, because we will be planning not only the lesson, but also the attitude, giving different kinds of examples. Let's say if I am very respectful with my students, that's for sure that my students will be respectful as well, right? If I show certain attitude in class, I don't know, let's imagine I am never on time for my class. Let's imagine, okay? Let's imagine I always log in late now that we are in the virtual classes. Let's imagine my class starts at 4 and I'm always at 4:05, 4:10, or 4:10, let's imagine 10 minutes late. And one day that one student arrives late, I am like, oh no, come on, what happened? No, I'm sorry, you're late. Of course, that student will feel frustrated as well, right? Because he or she will say like, but you're always late. So we have to find a balance there. Remember, we are going to model not only tasks, not only activities, but also attitude. And something very important that I always say is that teachers are rock stars. You are rock stars in your class. Your students will do what you tell them to do. So let's see. We are going to start with this. Remember, modeling and planning. How are we going to plan this? Well, I know, once again, that this could sound like a lot of work. But once we get some practice, I'm very sure you're going to be experts with this, right? We are going to plan our class. Right? You can even plan your week. You can plan different kinds of tests or quizzes. But the most important, fun and relaxing activities that will help your students, but will also help you. Because I don't know, but whenever I'm in class, I have a lot of fun with my students. Whenever we have a game, I like to be part of that game, right, with my students. And sometimes I win, of course, right? And they are not, teacher, it's not fair, but it's part of having fun, right? Part of having that bond with your students. Something that I liked this morning that I heard from Paola was that we are humans, right? We are not robots. Think about that. Yes, teachers, you're not robots, and your students are not robots either, right? Well, moving on a little bit, we're going to start with our plan. In order to work on this plan, first, we need to talk to our students. Remember that we have to get some agreement, right? So we're going to have deals, right? How? For example, you can talk to your students. You have to get to know your students a little bit more. Again, now you can only see one screen in front of you. Your classes are in that screen. But remember that behind that or far away from that screen, you have people, right? People who can understand you and you can understand them. Let them share their insights. Probably they have to work. Probably they have some other activities to do. You have some other activities to do, right? We know that you don't have only one class. Probably you have 2, 3, 4, or as I said, maybe even 5 classes or more. You have to organize your time. You can tell them that, but not like a soldier, right? No, little by little, right? Negotiate. Talk to your students. I'm very sure after this, after you hear what they want to say, they will be willing to hear you. So, for example, if you say, okay, I have to check, I don't know, let's imagine this essay, and it's for Monday. Probably your students, but teacher, we need more time, or we didn't understand this very well, I don't know. So, no, it's for Monday, and that's all, right? That's it. What if they have something else to do? Remember that our students, well, probably not if you're at a school, right? But if you are, for example, here at CBA or in other institutes, most of the students have to study, not only at the CBA, but also at the school. Some of the students have to work. Some of the students are parents already, right? So they have other things to do. So if we give them, like, let's imagine, okay, I'm exaggerating, of course. Let's imagine we give them, okay, for tomorrow you're going to write 10 paragraphs, okay? 10 paragraphs, argumentative paragraphs. There you go. And I don't know, and you're going to do this and 50 sentences, and I don't know. And they don't get to do it. One, you're going to feel frustrated because your students didn't do the homework. You're going to get upset probably. Your students will get frustrated because they didn't have enough time to do it. They will also get upset like, oh my God, why did the teacher give us so much homework? He or she should be realistic, right? We don't have enough time, right? And they start complaining. And then the environment is not the best, right? Then we don't get along very well with our students. And it's just a misunderstanding. Of course, you didn't have the intention to frustrate your students, and they don't have the intention to frustrate you either, right? That's why it is important to have some agreements. How can we make these agreements? Again, talk to them, find out more about your students. Let's say you have an assignment for one day, you have planned this, but explain why it has to be until that day, and they are going to understand. If it is possible to negotiate the deadline, for example, if it is until 8 p.m., and they tell you to please give them 1 more hour, okay, it could be until 9. They are not telling you to give them 1 more week or 1 more month, right? There are always ways to negotiate. And now that you have a lot of experience, you can handle this. But once again, listen to your students. Now, you're going to keep planning. Remember, after you have this agreement with your students, you have to start planning your activities. Once again, we have to consider different things. First, take notes, of course. Take notes of your ideas. I'm very sure you have heard a lot of great ideas these days, and you will probably hear more tomorrow, right? And of course, every day we get a lot of ideas, not only from our colleagues, but also from the internet. Right? We have a lot of friends probably that could share, oh, why don't you use this? Why don't you try this activity? This was very useful for me. I don't know. Right? And it's always good to take notes. Something important whenever we take notes of activities is that we have to consider the human part. Again, our students are very important. So it is important to consider their age, consider their level, but most important, consider that they are going to enjoy, they will like to be part of this activity that you are planning. Okay? Well, in order to plan our activities as well, we have to set goals. And you can also set goals for your class, right? Not only for the activity, for your class. If you at the beginning of the semester, trimester, whatever, for the term, you see that your students are a little bit shy, okay, that could be one of your goals for the class, right? Okay, that is going to be my goal. I'm going to, I don't know, get the other side from my students so they are not going to be that shy, right? And of course, you also have to plan how you are going to model these assignments. All the assignments that you're planning have to be modeled. Remember that, once again, we are not robots, so we cannot be like, next exercise, 1, 2, 3. Okay, next exercise, 1, 2, 3. We are not robots. Your students are not robots either. We are forgetting this human part. And unfortunately, of course, it's not your fault. It is, the problem that we are living. That's why. But now that we are conscious about this, we have to remember, right? We can remember the human part, and we can remember all these important details. Well, planning with all of these details, you're going to see that how everything works. You're going to see how everything will get together, everything will match. You and your students will have a better class environment, even if it is virtual, even if you don't get to see your students the whole, 1 hour, 2 hours of class, but you're going to see that everything is going to change. Now, in order to get to know our students, as I was telling you before, here. And this is just an example, okay? You could make a Google form. And of course, with this, we will know their names, last names, and the age. That is going to be very helpful, yes. But we also have to consider some other details. We will have to consider the device they use. We will have to consider if it is just for them, right? If it is their own computer, laptop, whatever, or if they have to share with someone else. Nowadays, we have to consider these details whenever we plan our activities. It is necessary to know the internet connection that they have. If it is Wi-Fi, probably they are taking this class from a public place, right? So we have to take all these things into account. And of course, it is always good to ask how much time they have before or after class in order to work on their homework assignments. This is going to help us a lot. Because if you see that they have a lot of activities, it's impossible that they say, I don't have time. Impossible, right? But they are going to tell you at least like 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours. I have this time. Okay, you can get the media from your class and say, okay, I see that my students, let's say, have like 1 hour a day for homework assignments, and you can plan your activities, your homework assignments based on that. So you're going to say, okay, I am going to give them this kind of activities because I know they will be able to do these activities, right? And there won't be any excuses, and you can tell them as well. That could be part of the agreement, right? Excuse me here. Now, that will be a part of modeling the attitude. If we are planning, if they see that we are planning, they are going to start planning as well. If they see that you as their teacher, you are planning your activities, you have a calendar, you're telling them about the deadlines and everything, they are going to start doing the same on their own. Now, well, talking about the activities now, we have the steps, we have the following steps. First, we're going to say choose a tool. We have a lot of tools already, and I see that every day we keep sharing more and more tools. Could be probably in WhatsApp groups, I saw on Facebook, I saw on Pinterest. We have different web pages, right? And now we are going to work on that. Okay, let's have now our sharing time. Well, if you want, you can scan this QR code that is going to lead you to a Padlet. However, Jose, could you please also share the link so they can enter with the link as well? Wait a second here. Jose is going to share the link for this Padlet as well, but you can scan it from here.
It's already on the chat box.
Thank you very much. Let me move from here. Can you see my Padlet?
Yes, sharing time, right?
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, now we are going to start planning one activity, and we're going to see the example now. Thank you. As you can see here, we have tools, websites, apps, and if they are repeated, there is no problem. For example, somebody says Quizlet. Excellent. We can use Quizlet for vocabulary, grammar. Maybe we can use it for reading. You can repeat. There is no problem, because that is going to help everyone. And don't worry, because I'm going to share, or this Padlet is going to be open, so you can check it anytime you want. Okay. Now we have vocabulary, grammar, listening, writing, and reading. Could you please add your ideas of tools you've been using for these skills and soft skills? Excellent. We have Kahoot. Yes, everyone loves Kahoot. I love Kahoot. Right? You can use Kahoot also for different skills. Thank you. We have the live worksheets. Excellent. Google Docs. Perfect. Keep adding, please. Keep adding some more ideas. It is sharing time. Feel free to share all the ideas you have. Great. We got Nearpod. Nice. The Add Puzzle. Nice. Thank you. Nearpod for grammar as well. Thank you very much. Remember that you can repeat apps. Probably I only know that you can use Quizlet for vocabulary, but now I have learned that, oh yes, you can use it for grammar as well, or for reading, for writing, I don't know. Great. We have like worksheets, ESL. We have the TED Talks. Nice. And we have Perdeck, of course. Thank you. Thank you very much. We have Google Sheets. Of course, WordWall. Very nice. Love that one. Read Theory, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, teachers. Thank you for sharing. We need more ideas for writing and reading, please. Well, we have a lot, I know. But I think the competition is going right now with vocabulary and grammar. Let me see. Excellent. Collaborative docs, yes. Vertex for writing as well, great. Quizzes, nice. ESL video quizzes, thank you very much for sharing. We have Padlet, we have, Padlet, of course, we are using it right now, thank you. Reading Rocket's website, I never heard of that website, thank you very much for sharing. We have tough worksheets, and we have a lot. Excellent. Thank you very much. I'm very surprised because nobody mentioned, or I cannot read. Somebody mentioned Jamboard, because that was going to be my example, but it's okay. Thank you very much. Yes, somebody posted the Jamboard. Thank you. We have 2 Jamboards. Excellent. Well, now, and this is just a little tiny example. Right? I'm very sure you have a lot more. And whenever somebody says, yes, you know what, I need something for my students to practice grammar, and they start, yes, this, and this app, and this app, and this platform, and you can do this. And sometimes it's a lot. And believe it or not, even that can stress you out, right? Oh no, that's too much information. I just wanted 1 suggestion, right? Or 2. But sometimes that's a lot. And you try to work on this, you try to use this, you try to use this, and you try to use different apps for different activities in one day. That could be very stressful as well, right? So let's go one more time, little by little. Thank you very much to all the beautiful people who shared. Thank you so much. And if you want, you can keep sharing because it is going to be up. Okay. Here, coming back to the presentation. Okay, we have 1 tool. We are going to pick only 1. And now we have to work on the activity. How? Remembering that we were students some time ago. Remember, you were students, or probably you are still students, because I know many of the teachers are taking some other classes. That's excellent, and you are students as well, right? So we have to remember that part. And taking into account how much we know about our students now. Okay, so now I know about their internet connection. I know, of course, their names, their age. You can even add more information to that Google form, like their interests, right? All those things will help you a lot. Now we are going to work on that. We have the activity. We are going to plan our activity, and we are going to have our checklist. But why do we need a checklist? And here comes the second part of modeling. Whenever we model these activities now, focusing on activities, we have to follow these 3 points. Name what you're doing, step out of the lesson to make explicit connections. That doesn't mean that we're going to forget about the lesson. That doesn't mean that we're going to forget about the test my students will take and it will have this grammar structure. No. But it means that if it is necessary to make this explanation to this student, probably not to all the class, right? We have to do it. We have to help our students. For example, if you're working with groups, you're working in peers, or you just divide all your class. Let's imagine, for example, in Zoom with the breakout rooms, you can have them work individually, and you can visit them and see who has some problems with the task, right? And of course, the most important, teach with objectives. Again, since we have this situation, sometimes we forget about this part, right? And sometimes our main objective is just teach the simple present. Let's imagine. Teach the simple present because their test is in 2 days, and they have to know the simple present. It is okay, but we're forgetting about the other things, right? And sometimes the students don't understand some of our activities if we don't tell them the objectives. And they are like, and why are we doing this? And why is the teacher asking me for pictures of my family, for example, right? And we have to be very clear with that. So one more time, name, step out, and teach with objectives. Let's see. Now I'm going to show you a very simple example. I used Jamboard. Very easy to use, very useful tool as well. And I created this Jamboard. Okay. I said, okay, hello, my name is Daniela. And what if I tell my students to use these 3 pictures to describe me? They don't know me yet. It's the first day of classes. I am introducing myself. Okay, so I'm going to tell, okay, let me introduce myself. These are 3 pictures that describe my personality. And I could tell them, what do you see in these pictures? Jose, what do you see in these pictures?
Well, in the first picture, I see a TV and a remote control. I don't really know what this person is watching. I don't know what the second picture is. It looks like spaghetti, maybe spinach spaghetti. I don't know. And the third picture, it seems to be the countryside. There's somebody there. Maybe somebody's lost there. That's what I see.
Okay, thank you. No, don't worry. I didn't get lost. That's me. I'm not lost. But okay, let's imagine we have these pictures, right? And we tell our students, okay, we need to look at these pictures, describe the pictures, and, well, what was my objective? Okay, describe someone, right? But probably the students didn't pay attention to this part. Okay, I can include the text, right? They say, hello, my name is Daniela. And they will say, oh, okay, she likes to watch TV. She likes to eat pasta, and that is pesto, in case. And probably, yeah, she likes to travel to the countryside or go trekking, example. Okay, and you can tell them to do exactly the same. With that, you're just modeling. You're giving them your personality. You're introducing yourself with 3 simple pictures. They don't need a very, let's say, technological device for this, right? They don't need to download something specific to work on this, right? They don't need to download a program or an app, something that is not going to work on their phones or anything like that. And they are just going to describe themselves. With that, we will be naming the activity. Introduce yourself. We're going to step out. In the case they don't understand, we'll say, okay, don't worry, that is pesto. Ah, yes, that is food. It doesn't look delicious. No, it looks delicious, right? And we are going to talk about our objectives. What is my objective here? That they introduce themselves with the simple present, right? You can change the same activity using the simple past. And you see, it's not that difficult. And you don't need to get real stressed out like, oh my God, how do I know that my students are learning? Or how do I know that my students will produce this? Or how do I know that my students will be able to make 3 sentences with this? Just give them this. Right? But once again, name, step out, and tell them the objectives. My objective is that you, introduce yourselves now. And they are going to do it. And they will be happy to do it with a simple activity. And now that they are at home and that we have the advantage, let's say, that they have everything in hand, you can tell them, okay, you can show 3 of your favorite objects that describe yourself. Okay, and probably they're going to pick up a lamp, they're going to pick up, a poster, probably their smartphones, they're going to show you, and they will be able to enjoy the class, they will be able to share, and they are going to produce a language without getting that stress of, okay, next exercise, did you complete 50 sentences, 50 questions, 50 responses? Don't worry. Right? They will be able to do it. But once again, it is little by little. And if you give them this kind of assignment, the same. You can, for example, if I create my Jamboard, okay, I'm going to control how much time did I need to create my Jamboard. Let's imagine I needed 10 minutes. Of course, it was less than that, but let's imagine 10 minutes. Okay, I'm going to give my students 20 minutes to create their Jamboard at home, and then they will come back. Or tomorrow, they are going to show, right? Like show and tell, and they are going to talk about themselves with this. Okay?
Great.
Now, we're about to finish. Give me a second. Here. Something very important, guys. And this is very important for all of you teachers and future teachers. Don't get stressed out. We know the situation is difficult. We know it is hard, right, to work on this. But remember that our students are dealing with the same or probably similar situations. And we have to find a way to connect, to bond, and to keep working, of course, right? But you see, without getting so stressed out, like, oh my God, I have to do this and I have to do that. And that this is, now we don't have a lot of paperwork, but we have a lot of assignments on the platform probably. But organize yourself. See the real objectives. I'm not telling you not to assign homework. Of course, we will keep assigning homework, right? Because we know the importance of homework. I'm not telling you to forget about the book, right? We need the book. However, I'm telling you to remember that human part, enjoy, get to know your students. And with all that information, you can keep working on your activities. Remember that you can do this. Remember that it's not impossible, right? And excuse me, here. Now, this just as a game, because this was also suggested in the presentation that I saw, but I'm sorry, I couldn't download the bingo cards. However, you can make your own tic-tac-toe or bingo cards if you want. And I said, okay, for example, for my communicative strategies, I have this. And you can start playing with yourself, right? You can say, okay, my objectives will be this this semester, right? I'm going to apply these different kinds of activities. Let's say talk tokens, okay? Let's say we are going to work on this. I plan my activity, it works. Yes, my students enjoy it. I enjoy it, excellent. And you can mark an X there. Yes, I did it. It's like your to-do list, your bingo. And then you can even have your own prize at the end, right? Okay, you know what? I have always wanted to buy that huge bag of chocolate. Sorry, I love chocolate, right? And I'm going to buy that bag. But first, I'm going to get these objectives. So you can say, okay, yes, I'm going to work on the elevator or the speed dating. Good. I plan my activity. We work on it with my students. And remember that you can use these activities with different groups. Or you can use, I don't know, the tokens with one class, probably the solve this with another class. And you start marking your own card. In that way, you have your list of objectives. Nobody else needs to know about this, but you're going to be happy and you're going to feel happy with yourself, right? Get your own reward. Sorry. And I think that would be all. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Daniela. That was a very interesting topic and something that we really need to take into account these days. From the comments, I didn't know the message below the activity, and that's something that you can. I think that's another advantage of having that activity. I didn't know, for example, from that activity, that you like streaming services like Netflix. That was the meaning of the TV. That you like vegetarian food, like, for example, that spinach pasta, and that you like traveling. So, that's a really good way to get students to introduce themselves, but also know what they like, their interests, and other things that will help us teach them better. Well, many people are writing messages, congratulations, thanks. nice ways to know more about our students in order to create a good atmosphere. That's very important. Cool. Thank you. Great presentation, Daniela. Thanks
Thank you.
a lot. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for sharing. Well, that you got this is an emoji, right? Now it's time to put it all into practice. Yes, exactly. Thanks. Thank you very much. Well, I really love this presentation. Thank you, Danny. You did very well, and we hope to see you soon in another conference. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today. So that was the last presentation, and we'll see tomorrow in the afternoon. We just have one more presentation, the last one in the afternoon, and the closing ceremony. Thank you very much. Have a nice rest of the day. Thank you one more time, Daniela. Have a good one.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Goodbye.